Alright, we are about to learn how to draw a male body, and as you can see here, I have a reference pulled up that I will use while I draw. I am in Photoshop CS6, and I really like this program here. It's very smooth, very efficient, I suppose is the word I'm looking for. But anyway, gonna choose a light gray for my sketch, and I'm gonna choose a nice size, like 8 pixels, I guess, and I'm gonna find a brush. I think I might use this one. No, I think I'm gonna use like 3 pixels or 4. Size will probably vary as I go along. But anyway, we're going to start with the basic sketch for the body. Before I do that, I'm going to adjust the canvas size to a taller canvas so it'll fit the entire body. I typically use a very large canvas, and I know most people probably don't use canvases this big, but I cannot draw on a tiny space, so set the size to whatever you want, but make sure it's tall enough to fit the entirety of the body that you're about to draw. What I usually do as after I'm finished drawing, what I do is I will, depending on how I feel, I will go back to the image and change the image size. In most other programs, it will make the image look very blurry, but thankfully in Photoshop it doesn't do that. It looks just as clear as you originally made it. At least that's from my experience with Photoshop. I don't know if it's the same for everyone else. I suppose you don't have to draw the guidelines if you don't really want to, but personally, I like to start off with a sketch like this, with like random guidelines just showing me where to go, stuff like that. Um, One thing about men is that they have very thick necks. Never give a man a skinny neck unless they're a child or like a very skinny man. But if they're a healthy, fit man, then they will have a broad neck. Never give men um what's the word? Uh, I don't know what the word is, but make sure that men's shoulders are very broad. Even skinny men tend to have broad shoulders. The broader the shoulders are, the more masculine they look. And as we go down to the arms, let's just start with the outline of the arms, you will notice that this part of the shoulder area here, it stops like about right here, and I'll show you what that is relative to. It's relative to the pector. It's relative to the pectorals, and I guess you can just sort of draw off of that. Okay. The pectorals are usually more wide than they are tall. If you make them too tall, they will begin to look like boobs. so avoid that. Typically, men don't have very pronounced nipples, but uh, something I see beginners do a lot is that they will make, well, I won't say beginners, I'll say inexperienced artists, like in men. And a lot of one thing that artists who aren't good at men tend to do is they'll make the abdomen really down low, like here, and it makes the torso look incredibly unrealistic. So I'm gonna start with the little line going down the chest. Then I'm gonna do this. And for the heck of it, even though this isn't really featured in that reference, I'll put this here for now, just as an indication of the rib cage or whatever this muscle or thing is here. I recommend always using a reference when drawing men, especially if you're not really sure what to do. Mostly because men are very complicated to draw. Like, an artist's hand is naturally accustomed to drawing curves and you know, swervy lines, but men don't really have an abundance of swervy lines in their bodies. Um, Back to the, drawing. Their arms are always going to be thicker than women's arms, even if they're skinny men. A skinny man will have thicker arms than a skinny woman. I don't know why that is, but, that's just how it works. Um, don't make the back curve in too much, like this, but don't make it too straight either, like this. You gotta have like a nice in-between area, in-between thing, and it's got a nice gentle curve going on here. And something that I didn't notice until I started getting really serious at drawing men is that there is sort of an indentation right here, like right below where the belly button is. Like a slight indentation. I know you see it in women too, but it's more pronounced in men. For what reason, I am unsure. It's because we have more fat than muscle on our bodies, and so there it sort of pokes out more. Oh crap. um, Something a lot of people tend to do with arms, like the forearm, is they'll do this, and it looks very unnatural. There, unless you're doing a really cartoony style, there is no jaggedness, sharpness to the forearm. It's very smooth, very graceful, even though these aren't really words that fit a man's body, but anyway. Um, if you're going for realism, you will often see nerves, like light, vague indications of nerves recording the man's arm, usually around this area here and around this area here. Sometimes up here, but very rarely. The face looks so dirty right now. I'm gonna do the underwear. Okay, that's awkward. Awkward underwear time. Actually, I think I'm gonna wait for that. Hold on. I think I might have made the arm a little bit too close to the body, but that's okay. I'm gonna save the hands for last because I don't really need to zoom in to do the hands. And for right now, I'm just gonna leave this part of the body like unfinished. And I'm gonna go up here and I'm gonna make a new layer. That this is the new layer button here if you're using Photoshop CS6. I'm not sure where it is on other programs, but it's right here at the bottom right by the trash can icon here if you're using CS6. I'm going to go to layer 1 and I'm going to label it sketch. Afterwards, I'm going to go here and lower the opacity to like, what, 12%. It's not necessary to do this, but for me, it just makes it easier to, you know, see what I'm doing on the layer above it. I'm gonna name this layer line work. And I label these so I know what I'm working with. Now I'm gonna go to the brush tool. I'm gonna make sure the mode is on normal. If you're not using Photoshop, you shouldn't really have this option here. It should just be automatic. I'm gonna take it off of this, and then I'm gonna go to opacity. Make sure it's at 100%. Make sure the flow is at 100%. And then I'm gonna go to the brush that I'm gonna use, which is this here. It's a good brush. I got it. It's a winter 2012 brush. I forget who made it, but whoever made it, I credit you. Let's see. Take it off of this. And I'm gonna start outlining the head, making sure I go back and check the reference every now and then to make sure I'm doing stuff right, because you know, gotta get shit right. Okay. Ears are always level with the eyes, and then but with the eyes and the bottom of the nose. Even if you have big ears, they're going to be level with the eyes and the nose. Typically, men have thicker eyebrows than women do. Usually not very neat. The bridges of their noses are also broader than women's noses, and this goes for all races. White, black, Asian, Indian, Native American, it doesn't matter, it goes for everyone. Their noses are the least bit dainty, basically. Their lips, something one of my friends has a problem with is mimicking male lips, even though this may seem considerably easy, there is actually some rules to making male looking lips. First off, you cannot make lips that look like this and expect it to look masculine. It doesn't look masculine at all. Men have a men have a more rectangular shaped mouth, and it's not so puffy and circular like women's mouths are. Don't get mad at me if your mouth isn't like lush and luxurious like some women's lips are. Just yeah. But anyway, I'm going to be copying his lips. See, there's a it's very wide. The M shape is sort of exaggerated. It's not like this or like this. It's more like this. Yeah. Then you're going to go to the lower lip, and the lower lip is basically the same thing. Wide. I suppose this rule applies less to Asian males, but it's still, their mouths are still wider than their females' mouths are. Their eyes are also usually a lot smaller and more angular than women's eyes are. And I think this is where you get the concept of males having very small eyes in anime, whereas the women in comparison have very big and wide eyes. I don't think that there are any rules for the size of for the size of the iris. If there are, tell me. Um, this man will have a cleft chin, like the guy in the reference, because that is what I am copying. Well, drawing a reference from anyway. Men rarely ever have really round, puffy faces. If I offend anyone that has a round, puffy face and is a man, I am sorry. But typically, in most races, you will not really see men with really like round faces unless they're heavy set. But even then, it's they still have some sort of angularity to their features. Again, they have very broad, wide necks, and the wider the neck is, like this is probably the limit to how broad a male neck can get realistically, unless they're on like steroids or some crap. um, but never give them stick necks. Men do not have thin necks, okay? Like they don't. And you will never ever see a grown man with a really thin neck. Even skinny men. High cheekbones are common in men. no matter what the ethnicity. So don't make them too pronounced, otherwise they'll look like they're part Native American or Native American in general. I mean, unless you're making a Native American character, then go ahead. But if not, then, don't. Be wary of the cheekbones. I may or may not color this. If I do, I'm going to make a separate video for it. The muscles in male necks are very much more brought out than they would be in a woman's neck. If the man is heavy set, their neck, the space between the neck and the space between the neck and the shoulders would be a lot shorter. The more fit, if they're fit like this, their neck will be roughly around the the distance between the neck and the shoulders will be roughly around this size. I mean, this distance. Let's see. Um, I'm gonna draw the other side of the face now. Gonna start with the eyebrows. The eyebrow, I mean. It's, it's not a. It's not plural. It's singular. What am I talking about? Um, when I get to the coloring stage in the next video, I'm going to mention how a lot of people make the mistake of making the nostrils like jet black. Let me tell you, unless the lighting is very, 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 very dramatic, emphasis on very, the nostrils will never, ever, 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 ever be jet black. Ever. The farthest they will go is dark brown. And the lighter your skin is, the lighter the shading of the nostril area will be. But I suppose that's also just common sense, but you know. A good tip is to make sure you always flip horizontally when you're drawing to make sure that everything's even, to make sure it's proportionate. Stuff like that. there aren't really any rules for ears as far as differentiation between gender to gender. I have not seen any real differences between male and female ears. If there is, it's very subtle and you cannot tell at all. Maybe their ears are bigger than ours. Probably most likely they are, because men in general are always bigger than women. Like, yeah. And unless you are a person with a wide nose bridge, women do not have nose bridges as wide as this. Even within, like, the Afrocentric races, I was looking at my nose in the mirror, and my bridge looks like this. But yeah. There isn't much talk about in regards to cleft chins, except that there are different types of cleft chins, like ones that look like this, ones that aren't so close to the chin, like this, ones that are like this, and you can't really see them, and ones that are like this, ones that are like this, ones that are like that. They start off kind of dark here, then they sort of fade out. This guy has a cleft chin like this. And it sort of like brings both sides of his chin up toward it. So it creates an indentation of sorts. Now, his hairline is not what normal male, like this. His hairline isn't a typical male hairline. It's very high up. You can change the hairline to however you want it to look like, but oh, his head is too short. Hold up. Never make the mistake of making the head too short. It looks like he's a, a, a morph of something. Hold on. I'm gonna do the outline of the arms now. Actually, I'm gonna do the pectorals. Gonna zoom in here. I can't really say that this is a rule, but sometimes there will be like a little unevenness for this part of the chest here, sort of indent. Sometimes there's these little lines here indicating the muscles tissue beneath the skin. Um, keep the nipples to a minimum. Sometimes they'll be smaller than this. It just depends on the man, really. There's no real rule to how small or how big they are, but never make them the size of females. Okay? Just don't. It looks unnatural. There's a line here for the abs, indicating the abs, where they are. Never make the ab lines dark like this, and all pointy and ew. People will often draw the abs like that, and they're really close together and compact, and it looks unbelievably unnatural. The lines of abs, if there is to be any lines, are very subtle, and they start off small and get wider as you go along. Before I do those, I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to finish this area. Then I'm going to go here and finish over here. Okay. Well, we're done with that. So you're gonna zoom in. I'm gonna start drawing the abs. Don't press down too hard on your tablet when drawing the abs. If you cannot control how hard you press down on your tablet, you go to the opacity settings, wherever it is on the program you're using, and you lower it. On Psy, it is on the left. In Manga Studio, I forget where it is, but it's somewhere on there. I think it's on the right above the layers. Um, Gonna work on the location of the abs now. How to draw them. They're very squared off. Never V-shaped like this. Never. It looks like they broke a muscle or a bone or something like that. Let's see. Alright, there's an indentation right here. I'm gonna go ahead and make a light suggestion. A light, a light suggestion of where the abs connect to this line here. I'm supposing that these are the ribs. I don't think so, because I watched a video where someone was drawing these and they stated that these were not the ribs. I'm not sure what they are, but they're right there. Sorry about that. I gotta go back and erase this. Okay. I'm gonna go here and make some light shading here. Derpy shading. Okay. And I'm gonna do that. Um, derpy line, derpy line. Now we're gonna work on the arms, okay? Unless they're really muscular, male arms typically are not like this. They're usually more like this. Hold on. Hold on, I'm drawing it. Okay. Always check back on the reference to make sure things are accurate. In the second portion, I will cover the legs. Very subtle lines. Gonna go back and check the reference again. The biceps poke out more up here than they do down here. They never poke out down here, always up here. And usually, if they're standing from the side, they'll poke out more on this side, going toward the body. Let's see here. All right, we are done with this tutorial for now. This is part 1. Thank you for watching, and I hope it helped you. Always remember the ratio between the neck and the shoulders. Always remember to not bring this in too much like that, or too straight like this. Okay, like right in between there. And that's the tutorial. Part 1. Part 2 will be the legs and the hands. And I'm going to be coloring in part 2, showing you how to add some kind of realistic shading to bring out the breath of life into the drawing. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.